Hey, Trevor, how's it going, buddy?
Good, good. How are you guys tonight?
Good, man. Good. Yeah. How's your day been?
Busy,
Yeah.
busy, busy. Yeah, summer's always the busy for me. We have all of our capital projects in the summer, so my job
Okay.
now, I'm not in the field as much anymore. I'm the work coordinator and project coordinator.
Okay.
So I plan all of our day-to-day work. I plan all of our capital projects. I run the projects. I monitor the budget that we run on every year. So I got a pretty
Okay. That's awesome, man. And you're in Alberta.
Yeah, I'm in
Yeah.
central Alberta. I live in a little town called Bentley. It's 35 minutes northwest of Red Deer, Alberta. It's just
Okay.
a small little town, 800 people. Very quiet, very, very neighborly. Like you can leave your front door unlocked and you don't have to worry about it.
Well, that's awesome, man. Not too
Yeah.
many places you can do that.
No, no, not
Uh,
at all.
yeah, for sure. I think the last time we were all together, me and Roger, you slap shotted a puck at me. Eh?
I thought about
Colin,
that the other day. I was like, oh my god, I remember that.
that was a good day for us, anyways.
That was I think that was
Not so
like
much.
too much Corey. He definitely got the shittier end of that. I think that was like
Yeah.
2014, 2015, something like that.
Yeah, it was somewhere around there, eh? Yeah, it was about that, eh?
I bet that was
Yeah,
a while back.
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, geez. So, yeah, tell us a little bit about like your background, like where your journey began.
Well, I was born and raised in Brockville, Ontario. Till I lived there till 2018, and then I moved to Kingston with my then fiance. And yeah, I grew up in Brockville, downtown Brockville. It was it was a pretty what we would call normal teenage years, like not
Oh, yeah.
it wasn't anything special. Lots of getting in trouble and being a
Yeah.
reprobate for sure. Um,
Yeah, I remember those days, man.
yeah, yeah, I don't miss them at all.
No,
And
me neither.
uh, yeah, I lived there till 2018, and it was time for a change, and I went to Kingston, and then in 2021, myself and my wife moved to Alberta. That was kind of right in the middle of the COVID craze and the real estate craze. So my wife sold her house in Kingston, and we moved out here and bought a house in this nice little town. And we've been here actually. Yesterday was 5 years, so I love it.
Nice.
I wish I would have moved out here 20 years ago.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What were some of the biggest challenges you faced growing up in Brockville?
Oh gosh. Um. Well, it was I find my life was a challenge right from the time I was a kid. Um.
Mm.
I come from a broken home. My father was an alcoholic. He was abusive to my mom, to myself, to my older brother. My older brother ended up moving out when he was 9 or 10 years old and went to live with my grandparents just due to the situation at home. And I grew up with just a lot of fear as a child, a lot of um, feeling incomplete, feeling less than, like I was a short, fat kid with big ears, and my last name was Mellon. So, let your imagination run wild with how much I got teased as a kid.
Yeah,
And
we remember those days, eh?
yeah, yeah. And as it got older, the feeling of feeling less than turned more into anger, and then like fighting in school, fighting outside of school, just getting in trouble all the way around. And you know now looking back at all of it, it was just like a cry for help or a role model or something to, you know, I don't know, something to look forward to, something to kind of base myself around. And like I surrounded myself in the type of people that, you know, were into the same stuff. And a lot of my friends were like, a lot of my friends were older. You know, I hung out with a lot of my brother's friends and hung out with my brother a lot, and they were all anywhere from 7 to 10 years older than me at the time. So, you know, I I started experimenting with alcohol, started experimenting with drugs, and the drug thing was my thing. It was more, I enjoyed the feeling, the instant gratification of using, and you know that hindered me through my life for a long, long time till 2016 when I finally got clean. Actually, this May 18th will be 10 years that I've been clean from drugs. So, um,
Congrats.
Yeah,
thank you,
congratulations.
thank you. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
think a lot of my decisions and a lot of my mental health problems that I had growing up from a preteen to, you know, in my 30s, mid 30s, were all based around my chemical romance, I guess you could call it. And that's what it was it was I loved it, and I didn't see it as a problem. And when when I used, I felt better. I felt more confident. I just had more pep in my step, and that was like that's a huge thing now. Looking back, you know, you can see that's the road that addiction leads you to. You know, and that's what my life started as in 13, 14 years old. Um, I kept I kept a lot of it hid when I was younger, and even into my adolescent years. Like I would use and nobody would know. I was a closet user, right? So
Mm-hmm.
nobody really
Yeah.
knew, and it eventually just got to the point where it was no longer hideable, you know, through my actions, through my appearance, and it just completely destroyed my life. By the time I was 33, I had built a good life and lost it twice over, and it was all due to my addictions, really, and poor choice in partners, I guess you could say. Um, yeah, 2016, May 15th, actually, my birthday. Um, I ended up getting arrested for domestic assault on the girl that I was with at the time. She attacked me in my sleep, and I was high on Xanax, and I didn't know it was her. I woke up to somebody punching me in the face, and I ended up throwing her off of me and hitting her at the same time. And yeah, there was a big kerfuffle in the house with myself and the Brockville police. And at the end of it, I was in handcuffs with a broken thumb and got to spend 2 weeks in jail going through detox. So it was terrible.
Wow, man. Yeah. And yeah, again, like you know, like a lot of us, you know, when we have these you know, unhealed traumas and stuff, we act out on
Yep.
you know, doing drugs, crime, all that stuff. I mean, yeah, we know each other very well, you know, from growing up in Brockville. So
Yep.
we it's almost like a lot of the people in Brockville have the same things going on, a lot of traumas, you know.
In a small town,
Small
not
town.
being a lot to do, and
Yeah.
you find yourself easily getting into trouble and
Yeah.
drugs and alcohol, and
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. And you know, it's like that town just has a cycle of insidiousness that can't, you know, you just have to leave to get out of that cycle. And if you don't leave, you'll never get out of it. You
That's
might get
so
out of
true.
it for a little while, but it pulls you back in, right?
Mm.
seems to have a dark cloud over it.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. I know. We, you know, since, you know, me leaving Brockville, I've done nothing but grow since moving out of there. You know, it was like almost like it was just keeping me confined to, you know, to where I'm used to, and like nothing good was coming in my life while I
Nope.
was there.
it's that cycle of insanity that town has, right?
Hmm. Yep, you're right,
And
Trevor. So right.
like it's it's hard. Like, and even, you know, if you have the inkling to quit drinking, or you have the inkling to stop doing drugs, like it's hard in a way. Like my situation when I decided to get clean, my situation just happened at the time. I thought, like, this is BS, like, rah 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 rah. But now, like, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Like, my when I got out of jail a week after my birthday, my conditions were so strict that I couldn't leave the house without my mother. Like,
Mhm.
to go to an NA meeting, my mom had to drop me off and pick me up. If I had to go to the store, my mom had to take me. And that's the type of conditions I had for like 14 to 16 months, something like that. But it forced me to work on me. And like, when I decided, this is my time, I I jumped into it with both feet. I started going to Narcotics Anonymous. I started going to relapse prevention. I started seeing a psychologist. I seen a psychiatrist. I was on medicine for a year to equal out my emotions and my serotonin. And I just did everything I possibly could to give myself the best chance of getting clean and staying clean. Quitting drugs is easy, but staying away from them permanently is hard. You got to change everything about yourself, the people you hang out with, the places you go to, the things you do. It's those are the three most critical things: people, places, and things. There's an old saying that says if you sit in the barber chair long enough, you're gonna get a haircut.
You're right.
So, like, I surrounded myself with people that were very like-minded, like myself. I hung out with people from NA. I hung out with people from relapse prevention, and I developed a whole new way of thinking, a whole new circle of friends, and that was my life for 3.5 years. The first 3.5 years I was clean. All I did was go to meetings, work. I played in a clean and sober hockey league. That was great. That was tons of fun. Um, I just I surrounded myself with all the right people, and a lot of my success. I give a lot of my success to my partner and to the people from the program, because, like, I was I was I was a mess. Like, I had no idea how to live, how to think, how to act. Like, at a year clean, or a little over a year clean, 13 months, I ended up getting charged again.
Hmm.
Oh, like, because I wasn't using, but I hadn't broken the thinking, the talking, the way I conducted myself, right? Like, I was basically the same person I was, just without drugs, because I hadn't started working on myself. Like, the inside, the thinking, the feeling. Um, I had absolutely no empathy at all. None. No empathy.
Hmm.
Um, and that was a huge thing for me, and I started doing um, a lot of a lot of intense therapy with my psychiatrist and psychologist, and I did cognitive behavioral therapy, which was absolutely amazing. It helped me a lot. And I read books on cognitive behavior. Like, I did. Once I started working on the inside, I started feeling it on the outside. I started smiling. I started being happy. Like, and I was still at the stage where I couldn't even leave the house without my mother, and I was happy. Like, I was, even though my life was controlled by, strict conditions and stipulations, I was the happiest that I had ever been in a long, long time.
Wow, that's amazing, Trevor. Yeah, I mean, you had to go through the darkness, right, to see the light,
Yep,
and you definitely did. Because look at you now, right?
absolutely. The darkest days bring the brightest suns.
You're right, Trevor. Absolutely. Yeah. Was there a defining moment that changed your life path? Or
Actually, yes. So I ended up being arrested at 1 o'clock in the morning on my birthday, and
Mhm.
I consumed a lot of drugs the day before, and I was drinking and doing all sorts of different drugs, and I got arrested, and I had blacked out. I woke up. I was in jail. I had absolutely no idea why I was there. I was covered in blood. My thumb was like the size of a bratwurst sausage, and red and black and purple and blue. Couldn't move it. Had absolutely no idea what had happened, and that was scary because I'm sitting there. I'm like, what happened? I'm covered in blood. I'm in jail. My something's wrong with my hand. Like, what happened? And then about 15 minutes after I had woken up, Keith Flurry came back to the cells, and he opened up the door and he came in and he sat down on a chair. And I was like, oh my God. Honestly, my first thought was, I killed somebody last night.
Mhm.
That was my first thought. And Keith sat there for probably an hour and a half talking to me. And a lot of what he said resonated with me, and it hurt. Like, it hurt to hear the truth. And
Yeah.
I can honestly say my clean and sober um, journey started with Keith Flurry. He was the
Wow.
one that shone that light on the situation and was like, listen, you know what? I've known you since you were a kid. You're a good guy. But when you're on that junk, he's like, you're a piece of shit. And it was like, to be face to face with this, and, just kind of him drilling it at me, it was like, it forced me to hear it and feel it, right? And I think it was about 3 years after I'd got clean. I was still on a sign-in condition. I went into the Brockville police station to sign in, and Keith Flurry was there. And he came out and he kind of looked at me and he's like, oh, wow. He's like, you look good. I was like, oh, thanks. I said, I've been clean this amount of time, da 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 da. And I stuck my hand out and shook his hand and I said, thank you very much. And
Wow, that's amazing.
he kind of stood there stunned. He's like, thank you for what? I said, thank you for that talk that morning. And
Mhm.
he didn't even remember it, but I remembered
Wow.
it, and
So
that was,
he
you know,
truly awakened you, man.
yeah, being the
Yeah.
person that I was at the time, for me to extend my hand and shake his hand, that's huge.
Hmm.
Mm.
Wow. No, no, that's amazing, man. That's a, he did that, and yeah, again, like totally awakened you, and
Absolutely.
see from the other side. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
how did you go about overcoming these difficult seasons in your life?
Um, Once I started actually doing the work to improve myself, I started learning coping mechanisms. I started feeling my feelings, and, am I angry? Why am I angry? Okay, well, this isn't anger, this is hurt. I was able to start identifying my feelings, and I was able to talk. I was no longer afraid to talk. I would call my sponsor, or I would call a friend, um, or at the time I would call my older brother because he had quite a substantial amount of clean time at the time, and I'd tell him, Jason, I feel like this. Why? You know, he would walk me through it. Okay, well, what can I do next? And I wasn't afraid to voice how I felt anymore, because I knew if I kept feeling it and I didn't talk about it and didn't deal with it, it was just going to manifest into something that was going to be toxic to me. You know,
Mm.
so a lot of it was just learning coping mechanisms. You know, before, my coping mechanism, if I was mad, I'd use. If I was sad, I'd use. If I was happy, I'd use. And you know, I had to learn how to navigate those waters in those dark times in a healthy manner.
Yeah, sounds like you did some deep inner work on yourself, Trevor.
I did a lot.
Yeah.
When I started seeing my psychologist, I was seeing him 5 times a week.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
Monday to
awesome, man.
Friday. Monday to Friday from 8 till 9:30 every day.
Oh my.
Well, it's
Yeah.
really good to see the transformation, and I'm sure that that'll inspire other guys that it's not impossible to get out of that life.
If I can do it, you can do it. You just, it's, you gotta want it. And you know,
Hmm.
like another big thing in my life that forced me to change my ways is my kids all refused to have anything to do with me. They didn't want
Hmm.
anything to do with me because of the person I was, and that absolutely broke my heart. Um, Even when I was using, I was always the dad that was at the hockey game or the play or whatever it was for my kids. You know, I'd be able to scrape together enough time to keep myself clean and coherent enough to be there for them. You know, and to just have them ripped out of my life absolutely broke me. And that was more incentive and more drive for me to improve my life, to improve my mental health. And you know, eventually, after 3 years, or 2.5 years, sorry, almost 3 years, um, my kids came back into my life. You know, slowly. They were cautious because they didn't want to get hurt again, like emotionally.
Hmm.
So, but
Of course.
now, I talk to all my kids on a daily basis. We have a group chat. I became a grandpa March 1st. My daughter had a baby boy.
I was just gonna say that. Aren't you a grandpa
Yeah,
now?
I'm a grandpa now. Yeah,
Yeah. That's
yeah,
Getting
that,
awesome.
old, Trevor.
Yeah, getting old.
yeah. Um, that was a blessing, to be there to hold my grandson when he was born. Like, if I hadn't have changed my ways, almost 10 years ago now, I'd probably be dead or in prison. Like, and it's a blessing to
Yep,
be where I am today.
exactly. Exactly, man. That's it. And that goes for, a lot of us. If we didn't quit, these cycles that we go through, we'd definitely be in prison or dead.
And the cycles of insanity and
Yeah,
insidious thinking.
you're right.
Yeah, it was a hard road. It was by no means easy. Not by not by a long shot. There was nothing, absolutely nothing easy for the.
I can feel you there, Trevor. We're a couple of the success stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And just what was it? It was 17 days before my 3 years clean. Um, I lost my mom,
Yeah.
and she was she was my rock. She was always there for me, no matter what I had done, no matter what I did. Like, she she had been told by many people, when she bailed me out the last time, that I was a lost cause. Just let him go. He's lost. There's nothing you can do. And she didn't. She was the only person that didn't give up on me. And losing her was huge, huge. Um,
Yeah.
it was the biggest test of my sobriety. I stayed clean. I felt the feelings. I dealt with the feelings. And I did it all without using drugs.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And
Yeah, and your mom, she's been with you on this journey. She has
absolutely.
been definitely guiding you, man, to where you are today.
Yeah, absolutely. And like my life's great. Um, I'm in a super healthy relationship. I'm back, into my field that I've been in for 22 years now. Um, life's good. I'm a Freemason. I joined the
Mhm.
Freemasons 3 years ago now. Um,
Nice, eh?
if I hadn't changed my life, I wouldn't have any of this. I wouldn't have my kids. I wouldn't have my grandson. I wouldn't have my wife. I wouldn't have my brothers. Like, it's amazing. And it was all worth it. I wouldn't change a single thing that I've done in the last 10 years. Nothing. I would have did it sooner, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. I can definitely relate with the mother thing. I think I lost my mom about 2.5 years ago in a car accident. So it was definitely a test not to resort back to the old things I used to do and or to find comfort in those things. So
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. It's a
I can
challenge.
definitely relate with you there.
It's a challenge.
What advice would you give to those going through challenging times?
Don't quit. The water's rough right now, but there's a beautiful sea in front of you. Don't quit.
Absolutely.
Push hard. When times get tough, push harder. You know,
Absolutely.
I used to say why me, now I say try me, right?
Yeah.
And that's what it
Right.
is. Just because we get cleaner, we get sober, doesn't mean life gets perfect. Life's life. Like, we lose loved ones. We lose jobs. Life's still life. It's still gonna happen. Just because we change doesn't mean everything's gonna be, you know, peaches and cream. There's still gonna be struggles and difficulties in life. And a big thing for me is boundaries. You gotta set healthy boundaries, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with setting healthy boundaries. Um, I've cut so many people out of my life because they're so toxic. Cousins, my older brother, I cut him out of my life 3 years ago because all I wanted to do was help him, and he seen it as I deceived him when meanwhile all the deception had come from him. And I don't have time for that in my life anymore. I don't. If you're
Yeah,
toxic,
he probably doesn't want to take any accountability or anything for his
no,
actions or anything, right?
no, zero
Yeah.
accountability.
Yeah.
That's his thing. Like, so in my situation, I was an addict, and I quit doing drugs 10 years ago.
Hmm.
And occasionally when I'm barbecuing or I go out for dinner, I'll have a beer. But
Hmm.
alcohol was never my problem, right? Um, with some addicts, it can lead them back to using, but it's something that I enjoy every once in a while. If I'm barbecuing or cleaning up the backyard or something, I'll have a beer, I'll have a Caesar. Like, I don't, like, I'm not going to sit here and say that I haven't indulged, but I didn't for the first 4 years of my sobriety because I didn't trust myself, you know? And that was, a couple of people that got close to me in the program um, don't talk to me because of that. They don't feel that I'm living my life properly because I have the occasional beer. But you know what? It doesn't stop me from moving forward. I'm. It sucks that they feel that way, but
Hmm.
it's not gonna. It's
Yeah.
not gonna change my path.
And the thing is, you have full control now, right?
Yeah, and like I always grew up thinking, because my dad was an alcoholic and he was mean. I always
Mm.
had that in my head. I don't want to be an alcoholic. I don't want to be an alcoholic. I became a drug addict instead, apparently. So, but
Mm-hmm.
it's something that I'm grateful that I can enjoy it. That I can have a couple beers and go out for dinner, have a couple beers, come home, and not have to keep drinking. I don't have that urge. Um, and as getting back to the original question, yeah, tough times happen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the toughest times make the strongest people. And I'm a firm believer in that. So
Absolutely.
just
Yes, that's
don't
so true.
quit. Don't quit. It's so worth it. It's at the time it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel like it's going to be worth it, but it is in the long run. Don't quit. That's my biggest piece of advice to anyone. Don't quit.
That's awesome. Yeah, totally. I totally can agree with you there. You can't quit, because there's going to be those challenging times where, you're going to be tested, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely how you handle those challenging times and making that decision that you want the lifestyle that you're living now, and not going back to that other way of living.
Yeah, absolutely. And my sponsor that I had in NA, he's this July he will have, I think, 40 years clean.
Wow.
And he told me when we go into recovery and when we start changing our life and going to see a psychologist and all that, we're building a toolbox.
Hmm.
And okay, I got my cognitive behavioral therapy. I'm going to put that in my toolbox in case I need it later. I'm able to feel feelings and recognize them now. I'm going to put that in my toolbox in case I need it for later. And I carry my toolbox with me every day. If I need it, I go into my toolbox and I use the tool and I put it back. And that's that resonated with me because I could understand it. Like they're tools. We're learning tools on how to live a new life, a normal life, a life without anger, a life without addiction, a life without alcoholism, um, and they're all tools. We use them daily. Sometimes we don't use them for a little while, but at least we got our toolbox with us, right?
Yep, that's so correct. You're right, Trevor. Well, I want to thank you for coming on and sharing your story, man. We
Thank you
really
for having
truly
me.
appreciate it very much.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Thanks for having me, guys.
No problem,
Um,
Trevor.
once this is posted, I just want to say to everybody that's gonna see it, if you're struggling with addiction, struggling with emotions, um, please feel free to reach out to me. Send me a message, send me a friend's request. Um, I have a lot of tools. I don't mind sharing my toolbox with people. Um, please reach out. Please do,
Absolutely. Yeah.
because
Give us your email too, as well, and we'll also, yeah, we'll put that as well.
That's what
absolutely,
Big Brothers is all about, right? That's
That's
why
right.
we're
absolutely,
doing this.
That's it.
absolutely. Awesome, guys.
Awesome, Trevor. Thank you so much. And yeah, well, like I said, I'll put your email in the thing, and then yeah, people want to reach out to you, they will.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, brother. Thank you so much.
Right on.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Trevor.
guys. I appreciate it.
All right, buddy. Take care.
You as well.
All right.